I forgot to start off the podcast. I got so distracted by your Cub photo. But I was going to say, we're basically having an emergency Allegiant Sun Country merger podcast.
What does that mean? So Allegiant has been in contract negotiations since like
2021, I believe. We got a listener email about it.
Sex, seniority, and salary in that order.
Rock on. You're on 121.5, the emergency frequency.
It's a show by professional pilots for professional pilots.
I looked back at them and I said, I don't think we're at the right airport. And they go, I don't think we are either.
Each episode, we bring you fascinating conversations with industry experts.
I think I should be a go-to on how to deal with 63, 64-year-old men.
You're going to chase it like a dog chasing a school bus.
But we're not just about the serious stuff. We're here to have fun.
Currently on an overnight in Orlando, and this is by far hell. This is the worst place on earth.
It's a whole thing.
The 21.5 Professional Pilots Podcast is your destination for everything aviation, whether you're cruising in the flight levels or just starting your journey.
It is another episode of the 21.5 Show. Hello, welcome back. The show for the pros, Dylan and Max on the mics. If you're joining us via video, we have a treat for you. 10 years ago, Riverside released a feature where you could change your background, and we have finally figured out how to do that in the video stream, Max. And you have a spectacular photo of your carbon
that was just taken.
Is that Red
Yeah,
Creek?
that was last week on a my latest mission that's been invented for use of the airplane was to go quail hunting in places that are inaccessible to most. So, yeah,
I love it. Here, yeah, move over to the side there. Let everyone get a good view there. Nice, yeah. Little decals. I don't know. Can you see the 21.5 show logo on that side, or is that on the other side of the plane?
Both sides. Maximum exposure. Yeah, it's down there in the bottom, right below the
Arizona flag. Well, listen, if you normally tune in on YouTube, this might get you to start. It's just a spectacular background. It's just serene cactus.
I know. I was just walking back after hunting. I was like, that's kind of a cool shot. This is the overcast skies.
Magnificent. Just some of the fun you can have in GA. Well, we've got lots to talk to. Max, second show of the new year, still no guest. We got to figure that out. Having a little problem getting back into the swing of things, but that's okay. We have tons of stuff that we need to get to.
It's good. Let's get through
regardless. Let us go. Let's start by checking in. Anything exciting going on?
Not really. I mean, nothing really out of the ordinary. Been just kind of typical flying stuff, you know.
Just doing your thing.
Healthy amount of delays out there in the National Airspace System. I was flying yesterday, and they had everybody holding and stuff for San Diego. I'm like, what on earth happened there? And I look up the emails that we get and they had a runway light malfunction, so they closed the whole runway during the day. To troubleshoot the runway lighting problem before, I guess, nighttime fell. Obviously, so everybody was diverting and stuff to trying to get into San Diego. I was like, oh my god, dude, that place is the worst. It's funny too because it's obviously the busiest single runway airport, right? And of which Scottsdale is also quite up there. But San Diego, it's gotten busier, like noticeably over the last, like I'd say 12 months, but even 6 months since that new terminal opened. I think they got like more capacity or something. So, and I know like Southwest, we operated more flights in and out of there. So, you know, how do you increase capacity at a single runway airport, Dylan? What's the one thing you can do?
If there's anybody, you can increase the rate at which you depart and arrive aircraft. That's
and how do you do that with one runway?
Give your controllers methamphetamine.
Yeah, you reduce the separation. Like that's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know another way to, and so the interval. So now, like it used to be substantially longer. Like now it's like, all right, be ready for the immediate, and then like, all right, traffic's on a 2-mile final. Clear for immediate takeoff, like, and they're just running people, which I like. I think that like it's fun to be a part of, I guess. And like, I landed behind because they run some JAL runs a 787 out of there. There's a couple that do international. And I remember I was landing real close behind a 787. And I was like, I had my fingers on the toggle buttons. I was like, this is 50-50. This is going to work out. And he just broke ground when we were touching down.
Really?
Yeah. Well, even the go around, I'm like, well, this is going to get interesting because.
Yeah, exactly. That's.
It's VFR.
If
so
you were to go around,
I'm not going to
avoid him.
I'm not going to follow LNAV right into another airplane. You're just going to turn. But it's just, it's. I don't know what else they're going to do. Like,
well, didn't
it's got to be close.
Alaska
completely maxed
It has
out.
to be, yeah.
And then it's going to be like Vegas, dude. There's going to be flow every single time. There's going to be edicts, and it's just, what are we doing?
And I think, didn't Alaska just announce that that's going to be a pilot domicile too?
I don't know. Did they?
Like, I think Alaska's trying to grow San Diego.
Dude,
yeah.
What? I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how that's possible. But
it's and it's funny too because half the year in the morning you can't get in.
Yeah,
like
right.
You know? So
or you have to fly the ILS
worst
with
possible
the tailwind. You just
it's like the worst possible airport to try it up because you have those mornings where you can't even have the optimal flow. You got to get. It's just.
And then you got Brownfield over there, like in the middle of Nowheresville. Like maybe we should have sunk a bunch of money into developing that, like into.
Yeah. Well, think about how expensive the San Diego airport real estate is.
Oh, yeah. Remember Lindbergh's historic hangar that was there?
Yeah.
Wasn't historic enough not to tear it down for the new.
Yeah. We're gonna need that
area. It's.
I mean,
pictures last.
Brownfield, you would have to demolish a mountain.
Oh yeah, the arrival into there. There's the approaches suck. Like I get it. Miramar, I don't know. It's a problem.
There's not much.
All you can do is like they did in Tokyo. You just build an island out in the in the water.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. Could we take it? Can North Island become the airport? That would be pretty cool.
Freaking parking structure on short final. It's got to have to be a 3.5-degree glide path.
It's the one city, if you think about, like, especially you're going in there, like, especially corporate, there's no good option.
No, I know. Because
there's like
Montgomery, Gillespie, great options, very short runways.
Short runways, terrain, can't handle heavy airplanes.
There's
like
small, yeah.
Can't do it. Brownfield's probably your best option, and even that's like tricky because you got this mountain in the way. Dude, I went into Brownfield coming from Mexico the other day.
So did I. I've done that too.
That was kind of cool to do the visual coming from the other direction, right over Tijuana.
I was like, how's this going to work with? Because there's also an airport with a parallel runway 1 mile to the south, but also in a different country that people mistake all the time for Brownfield. San Diego's kind of a nightmare now that I think about it. The whole thing is
I'm telling you, dude, there is no good option to get in there unless I haven't even been into the Gillespie or Montgomery and since flying a piston airplane. I don't think I've flown a jet that I could get in there. So yeah, Carlsbad's your next best, and that's not that very long of a runway either.
And it's far down a freeway that's just packed with traffic constantly. But let's expand it and put a pilot domicile there. That's what people at Southwest were like, oh, I bet the new domicile might be San Diego. I'm like, get out of here. That would be idiocy. This place the terminal's real nice though. It's pretty funny too. Like I've watched these airports been redeveloped over the last 5 years. I guess 5 or 6 years. I've been at Southwest in visiting them all frequently. So you had New Orleans, right? New Orleans builds this whole new terminal on the other side of the airport, right? It's very nice, everything. And what do they do with the old terminal? Nothing. Still sitting there. Just looks like a ghost town. It's weird. Yeah. It's so weird. And there's some airplanes parked over there sometimes. There's no jeopardy. It's just weird, right? Then you have Kansas City. Kansas City built this brand new terminal, great. And then shortly after it's done, the old terminal's scraped. It's gone. Like pretty quick, dude. San Diego, same thing. Builds this brand new terminal. Literally, I was there the day it opened, the first day it opened. And a lot of times these new terminals, you walk in there and there's like the restaurants aren't even open. It's kind of a mess, right? Dude, that thing,
Yeah.
you walked in there, you would have thought I'd been there for a year. Like everything was open, every restaurant's open, everything was firing on all cylinders. It was great. And I think I talked about this before. You exit the runway and taxi past the old terminal. They had excavators out there. They were just ripping the old jet bridges. They were just on their sides, just ripping them off the terminal. That thing was gone in a matter of like weeks. Like poof. It was there and then it wasn't. So, but not New Orleans. I think they had like a Red Bull skateboarding video that was filmed inside the New Orleans, like
inside the terminal.
Derelict old terminal. Yeah. And now New Orleans, typical, they ram these pilings down like way underground, because it's the whole thing's a swamp for the building. But then they pour the concrete and the whole concrete ramp is sinking. If you look between the building and the ramp, there's a gap that keeps getting bigger and bigger.
This is not good. I know. So many of these airports are just built on the most precarious land too, where it's just like, oh.
Say what you will about Denver.
Yeah.
They're like, exactly. Let's just go somewhere where there's
sinking.
Tons of room. It's flat. No sinking. We can put runways every which direction. But Denver too. It's good. That's like the most modern airport, like clean sheet airport, that's been put in, and
people still complain.
Well, no, they got all these. They got 1 million north-south runways, right? And then they got 2 east-west runways. So when the winds are strong out of the west, it grinds the whole thing to a halt. Because those are departure runways. Then when they have to land them, then it turns into San Diego. San Diego times 2. We're taking off and landing airplanes on the same 2 east-west runways. Not that I could do a better job at designing airports, but I would have thought, like, at that point, the amount of concrete that's poured there, like another couple, I think they're talking about, too, adding another, I don't know, who knows. I'm sure there was some analysis of the prevailing winds or whatever, but.
I'm asking an unnamed AI, what do you think is the most recent new airport that's been built? That, like, actually new?
That's what I was saying. Like, off the top of my head would be...
Yeah.
Denver is the only one. Like, big airport?
Yeah. Denver's, like, big international. It's got to be Denver.
Yeah.
The only one I can think of that might, and I'm trying to confirm this on the internet right now, I think they completely built XNA out of nothing, like since like the year two, like was within the recent times, maybe since 20 or the year 2000.
I haven't been there since the American Eagle days. Well, when was the new Denver airport built?
It's so funny. All the AIs won't work right now because it's during business hours in the U.S. So they're all like, "Oh, we're having heavy loads."
Denver opened in 1995.
Yeah,
wow.
I remember I was like a kid. I remember like getting like we used to get like the weekly newspapers sent to our house for kids, and it was like all about like Denver Airport.
Well, I remember I remember seeing the video, and they were driving all of the ground support equipment and everything from Stapleton down the freeway to Denver. Like one night, they just did the big elephant march, like with everything. Anyway, enough about it. It's 30 years ago. Wow, I guess it's not that new. You can also tell because all the paint's peeling off the terminal.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun little diversion there.
Yeah.
San Diego.
You never know where it's going to go.
And you have to get there. Wait, this is the most recently built U.S. airport to open from scratch is Northwest Florida Beaches International Airport.
Is that the
Panama City?
Yeah, Panama City. When was that open?
Yeah.
I fly in there all the time. Well, not all the time, but
ECP.
Yeah,
that was opened in 2018.
Huh? How about that?
Wow.
I mean, now that you mention it, it is kind of like in the middle of nowhere a little bit. Like it's just kind of out, its own little thing. Just single runway deal. Small terminal. It's a small airport, but
ECP, and that has like major service.
Yeah, I think everybody flies there.
There you go.
Beaches,
I
baby.
I learned something new. Have to. What else? Branson Airport opened in 2009. BBG.
This is good. This is going to save us all the emails from the listeners to say, "No, you idiots."
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's why I was trying to think, like, how can we avoid Destin Fort Walton Beach opened in 2004. A lot of development down in the Redneck Riviera. And Branson Airport is the first privately owned commercial airport in the U.S., it says. Allegiant serves it. Interesting.
Allegiant in the news with the merger or the purchase of Sun Country. What is that?
That was my next big. I mean, that was basically. I forgot to start off the podcast. I got so distracted by your Cub photo, but I was going to say we're basically having an emergency Allegiant Sun Country merger podcast.
What does that mean? So Allegiant has been in contract negotiations since like
2021, I believe. We got a listener email about it.
So what does that do when they're like, oh, we're going to buy a new airline? Like, not only you haven't renegotiated your current contract, now you have to do some sort of seniority list integration. Like, how can the union like block cause problems with the purchase of the airline, I wonder, and like to leverage?
I don't know. They are Allegiant is the IBT union.
Dude, they're working under a 2016 contract that became amendable in 21.
Yeah,
that's insane.
They're IBT, and then Sun Country's ALPA.
Oh my god!
How many pilots do you think Sun Country has? Well, this is probably not right. Data is from 2022. This is saying 462 pilots, but that's probably
how many does
not accurate.
How many does Allegiant have?
Again, I don't know how.
Wonder why they haven't voted a strike
1,400 Allegiant pilots. This was updated.
Maybe we should call our friend who's an Allegiant pilot and get a little briefing on this right now.
Yeah. Well, we've gotten some emails from people, and they said, "Hey, we need to do a deep dive on this contract situation where they can't get anything moving."
We should get an Allegiant union representative.
Well, I was wondering, maybe do a 2-for-1. Could we get the Telluride Ski Patrol?
Oh my God!
Contract too. Have you been monitoring that? Did they agree to a?
Oh yeah, they agreed.
Is it good? Did they get everything they wanted?
I don't know, dude. I can't even look.
Free hot chocolate on the
on the brakes.
Brakes.
They got to flip an army of Saint Bernards to assist with the rescue.
Right.
With the little wooden jugs around their neck.
Duty rigs on the lessons. You're paid for bathroom breaks.
There's leg change override if they reschedule you now.
See, I pick up lessons at the beginning of the month, but they have to drop them because I have lessons that carry over from the other side of the month. But then they have to pay me. Then there's a conflict. Then I can pick up open time on top of that.
And then my vacation touched another lesson. So
that was great.
That.
I haven't been to the mountain in 15 days. It's amazing. I've never met. Is there any other work group besides pilots that mostly especially when you're talking with other pilots, all they are trying to tell you about is how little they work? That's the common theme of airline pilots when they get together. Our college buddies will hang out and everyone's just telling you how little they're working. That's the topic.
Yeah, and then a Part 91 100-hour-a-year corporate pilot strolls into the conversation and blows everyone up.
No, because they're always talking about the trips
I've been working 2 days a month for 10 years.
But that's the total difference. Because if I see another Part 91 guy, it's always oh, how you done any cool trips lately? How's the flying been? This and that. Whereas the airline's oh, you've been on vacation, or you got any other? It's complete opposite.
Well, I know. And what's funny, I know it is so different. And I was just reading a listener email who's sending us cool stuff to do in Cabo and a cool hiking trails in just by Teterboro and all this stuff. It's just so funny because the trips are just so wildly different. You just can't even.
Right.
I'm trying to decide on an airline overnight if I'm going to have time to go out and eat somewhere, or if I'm going to have to be relegated to the hotel at the airport, or I'm trying to figure that out. And corporate flying, you're trying to figure out if you're going to have time to make a full recreational schedule. And you're on TripAdvisor on your trips, trying to figure out things to do. And airlines, I'm at Google Maps. restaurants within a 1 mile radius, highest rated, just figure out, where I can go sit at the bar by myself.
But I really like an organic grass-fed steak, not just a regular steak.
Yeah. At corporate trip, I'm making reservations and,
Quickly, get on Resi.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're going to have enough time after the mountain bike park. What time should we make our reservation? Do we have to shower before? And then what time is that cocktail bar open that has the live music? And then there's a comedy show we got to get to by 9. So
quickly get there.
Yeah, that's how busy we are.
It was fun. We've talked about this before, but it was just so funny. The packing situation on a few of these trips on like 2 nights, I'm looking at like how much stuff is in my suitcase, and I'm doing the same thing. Well, I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna go play disc golf, so I'm gonna need that, and then we're gonna do this thing, and then we're definitely gonna be working out. So I need gym shoes. And
I need water flip flops. Then I need my leather flip flops, and I need. Yeah, I know, dude. Literally, my last airline trip, it was funny because I had like a short overnight at the hotel. I'm like, I don't even have time to go to the gym. Like, I brought, you know what I brought? Jeans.
Yeah.
1 black T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And like workout shorts and a workout shirt, and just in case the second day
Just in case.
That's it. It's so light. I don't even use corporate. I'm bringing like a full size bag.
We're gonna need a bigger
my
bag.
scuba gear and my freaking golf
This
clubs.
is why Max flies the G280. I mean, the Challenger doesn't quite have the baggage compartment, but
the 30% bigger baggage compartment is for me. That's where all my
actually the owner doesn't know any different. He's been told it's the same.
That's right. They pack light. So I got to get my mountain bike.
I'm just looking at these destinations you're going to, man. We're doing a lot of mountain stuff, so the bike's got to fit, scuba gear, like this.
Well, the thing is, we barely do any overnights. So it's really.
Oh man. Well, that is that's some of the perks. So you got to just decide what's more important to you. Money or experiences.
Yeah, that's really, but money and security, really, which I guess is kind of the same as money when it's all said and done. But
yeah. So, any other to wrap that up? Any other thoughts on the Allegiant Sun Country merger?
Yeah, we do need to get I would like to talk to a union representative from Allegiant to be like, guys, what? I just remember when we were in contract negotiations, like people were just clamoring for this strike authorization vote. It's like 99% were like, we're done with this.
I mean, I hate to say it, but to me, this is a political juice game. Allegiant isn't a like if Allegiant stopped tomorrow, like it's not, in my opinion, like critical to the transportation infrastructure of the United States. That's my opinion. Don't come at me, but like that's my perception of what like elected officials would see. And so there's probably not that much political pressure for them to like get people released or keep them from striking, or pressure them to find a deal. I don't know. What do you think?
I guess, but then also dude, we have a lot of capacity in this country and I don't know that if any one of the other big airlines stopped flying, like it's going to implode the economy. Like there's a lot of capacity out there. So who knows?
But if American,
well, it's politics.
It's politics. That's what I'm saying.
There's the truth and the spin, and who knows in between where reality lies.
Yeah,
I guess.
And I'm not, and don't I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm not.
Is this
saying
you going on another MAGA rant?
No, yeah, right. Exactly. I'm not saying Allegiant isn't important. I'm saying that they may not be perceived as important.
No,
politically.
I see what you're saying. I understand,
and
but
so they may just not have the levers to pull.
Well, the threat of a strike in an airline, like that can kill the whole company pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like, so it's, I don't know, you need politics or not, dude. Like the contract says what it says, and your ability to strike as a unionized work group is there. And so.
Yeah, we need to be more educated on this. I don't feel like I can
we
really
should
say
move on
anything
before we make
intelligent.
ourselves sound like bigger idiots.
Okay. Recurrent training. I just returned from a funny story.
Oh yeah,
for you.
Did you go do the ATP check ride, or did you get to do something more meaningful?
Big shout out to CAE. They changed their program. They were kind of hamstrung by the FAA to begin with, so it wasn't their fault. but they got some relief. So now they have a kind of a progressive 2-day check in the Challenger at least, and it was really well done because they still perform all of the checks that they need to do, but they have a lot more flexibility. Some of the things you are required to train before you can be checked on, some that they can just check you on. And so they kind of mix it in. So like, if you're going to go do a steep turn, then you can say, okay, my first turn is training and then my next turn is checking. So like it can be a little bit more efficient. Yeah, it's great. And we ended up in a 2-day deal and having plenty of time to do some extra training stuff, some scenarios that we wanted to do. I did do the oxygen mask stuff that we talked about.
Good.
Went up to Alaska and did some really high crosswind stuff. Like did like a circle and like a 40-knot crosswind. That was really challenging. But the one thing I was going to tell you, it was super funny. It was an accidental great scenario. And so we're taking off. I'm in the left seat. I'm flying. And we're accelerating because the Challenger's so powerful, Max. Right at probably about 90 knots, my seat was not locked in all the way, and I just went flying backwards. And
you have the aircraft!
So I'm like, and it was like one of those things where it was like, I didn't go, I could still reach the yoke, but they did a V1 cut right there.
No way.
I'm like grabbing the yoke to like stop myself. So I immediately pull the airplane into the air, right? So on the V1 cut. And then I'm like, I could barely reach the rudder. It was pretty funny, but it was a good, it was just, it was kind of a happy accident.
Are you sure it wasn't the instructor just reached behind and was like right before V1 and pulled the
I wonder.
pulled the lever?
You know, honestly though, I thought it was a great scenario. Maybe not like right at V1 with an engine failure, but like what happens when the guy flying is no longer able to touch the controls? You have to quickly, like the other person, like you have to be ready to like take over.
Oh, I'm definitely doing that to Christian on the next Recurrent.
And like, would you abort? Would you continue? Like that's
no. Give the guy give the other guy the airplane.
Yeah,
say your aircraft because you can't
exactly
controls. Like
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
because you talk. I think so often.
I wouldn't be pulling the yoke to get yourself back to reach the other rudder pedals. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. So I don't know if the training centers can just work that in somehow with an automatic seat retraction, but be a good scenario to be like, whoa, you got to take this here. Be ready.
That's funny.
At any time.
What are the odds? What are the odds?
What are the odds? Well, when you're flying such a powerful aircraft, just accelerating so quickly.
I wish we had those engines on the 280. Jeez.
So yeah, shout out to CAE. It was actually a great experience. Oh, the other cool thing was we had a ground school that was taught by, some people complain when you don't have a pilot teaching the ground school, but this one was taught by someone who was like a mechanic at FlexJet for like 20 years and like a maintenance controller who was like constantly dealing with problems on the airplane that we flew.
Oh, why would you want that guy teaching you a systems review?
Oh my gosh, it was so great. It was like nothing I've ever had where it was just like, yeah, here's what's going to break here. This is why this is breaking. And it was just like, yes, if you were brand new to the airplane, you on an initial, that probably is not what you want. But man, for a recurrent, especially somebody who has to handle maintenance.
Did he tell you about all the things that pilots do to break stuff or anything like that? He did.
Yeah, and he did it in a respectful way because he's like, I know you guys have things you need to do, and I'm not sure what you were doing up there, but like, here's what happened because you did this. Here's why we should do this, or why this was failing, and it was really interesting, like just learning about because FlexJet was one of the launch customers for the airplane, and so they had to, they had all of the growing pains. But I think that's one of the reasons why the Challenger's so reliable right now, because you had a fractional operate it early on, and they were able to figure out a bunch of stuff. There's just a million reps. Yeah. So shout out to FlexJet.
Oh, good. I'm glad your training experience was positive.
Very positive. Had some great meals in Dallas too. Continued new hotel. Tried a new place in South Lake that was great.
What? Where?
It's called it was called the Elmore. It's good. Wow. Quick in and out, Starbucks in the parking lot. Everything you need. Chicken tortilla soup, still kicking strong at the CAA cafeteria.
That is good.
It's great. The Dia's still doing its thing. Everything's good in Dallas. So.
Everything. Bob's? Did you go to Bob's? Did you get a glazed
No,
carrot?
I didn't go to Bob's this time. It's
Yeah,
and Dallas in January is such a crapshoot. Like I remember the night before packing, and I'm like, I was like, I actually need to like look at the weather here because it could be snowing or it could be like 80 degrees, and it was 80 degrees all week. So
God, Dallas. That's all I think about at Dallas is training. Every time I go there, because I wonder how many months of my life I've spent in training in Dallas between CAE, flight safety, and Southwest.
And American Eagle.
And American Eagle. It's got to be pushing a year.
I remember I did 2 initials within the span of like I did an initial on.
It's definitely over 6 months.
Oh yeah,
of my life has been spent there in training.
Now, let me ask you a question. As somebody who has been around, have you ever spending all this time in Dallas? Have you ever thought like, could you live in Dallas?
Yeah, I've thought about it, and I could live in Dallas, easier than I could live on the East Coast or whatever. I think, but it's awful flat around there.
That's the only problem.
I don't know. This is I mean, but
there's lakes though.
I think there's a lot of flying communities, but not really any good flying. So what are you gonna do? Like go fly to Abilene for ribs? It's just like I flew from Dallas in a small airplane to here recently, and it's pretty dismal out there.
With a power cable taped to the side of your airplane.
Like I don't know that I would have a real need for a small airplane. If you like, it's definitely not a backcountry airplane. Like what do you know?
Maybe like I don't know.
But there's like lakes. You could live on a lake, but the lakes are kind of like muddy and stuff. I think.
Yeah, they're
compared
not
to what we're used to. I always hear. I don't know. I could live there. I would, as my kids would say, that would be mid
tortilla.
Like it's not the worst place I could think of to live. Or like if you look at airline bases, like okay, say you work at American, right?
Yeah.
What are your options? You got the Big D, LA,
Chicago,
Miami,
New York,
Chicago, Charlotte, right?
Philly, New York,
like Philly. Yeah. I mean, for me personally, being from the West, especially, like, if you had to live in base,
I think I'd live in Dallas, probably.
Because
you're bang for the buck. Your cost of living is so much lower than LA.
Yeah, but dude, what's it like? That's the thing about when people always say that, like, you're going to really make the number one thing about the place you're going to live about what it costs. If you're an airline pilot and you make decent money, like, that's going to be the number one thing. Like, I get it, living in LA, like, it's going to cost you a lot more. But like, I don't know, dude. I don't know what I'd do. I'm glad. That's why I work for an airline is
based in your town
where I wanted to live. That was probably the number one driving decision.
You said that in the interview.
So
looking at your route map here, I want to be here.
Yeah.
Here. All right. Last thing before we get going on, I need a little small flight department council session from you. I know this is, some people have to deal with this, some people don't, but every once in a while there's a maintenance issue, and as you know, parts prices can just be astounding sometimes. When you've got to talk
why are you trying to get me upset?
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about. I mean, the price often is the price, and it's upsetting. But when you've got to communicate that to the boss or the principal or the CEO, how do you handle that? Do you? I'm especially when it comes to like showing a little bit of empathy, or do you just say just the facts? Do you add any color commentary into that?
Well, Dylan, I like to use your metaphor about the elephant and the feed. Don't buy the elephant if you can't, and complain about the cost of the feed.
Yeah,
bro.
I understand that.
No, I'm kidding. I don't say that.
New tire is going to cost $10,000. Screw you. No, but like, how do you, like, if there was a part that's like, seems like even you're like, oh my gosh, this is just.
like perhaps like a $70,000 windshield pane,
right?
something
So
like
if
that.
you've got to make that you got to send that email or that text. Do you say, "Hey, look, I was surprised to see the cost of this. I'm just as surprised as you. Hey, I got some bad news." Do you start give me draft that text message to me or that call? What do you?
Well, yeah, something like that. I use would be via voice typically, and my but everybody's different. Like some people, but I would call and be like, "Well, I got some bad news today. We have a crack in the windshield, and it's outside of the limits of the maintenance manual or whatever. You quote the source that says that it's no good, so that way it can't be questioned. Be like, "Whoa, what do you mean? I've had a chip in my windshield in
Range
my
Rover,
Porsche for 6 months." Yeah, but you say, "Look, the maintenance manual. This we measured it. It's outside of the specs. It warrants replacement." There's one manufacturer, PPG. They make all the windshields for pretty much every airplane around the world. And the cost is this. Like, it sucks. I get it. We have no choice. Our hands are tied. So we either replace the windscreen or we don't fly the airplane. That's unfortunately, that is a situation we find ourselves in. That's it. You don't beat around the bush. You don't apologize. It's not your fault. Like you didn't decide to buy the Gulfstream. Like you just say, "Hey, you have empathy. Say, look, it sucks. I get it." It's and again, you have to put yourself. It's you've been in the same position. The scale is just different. That's it. You're replacing a folding mirror that your wife ripped off on the garage backing out, and it's $800. And you're like, "Oh my God, how could a mirror be $800?" Well, it's got a camera in it, and it's power, and it has a light on the bottom, and this and that, and it's $800. So, but you have the choice of driving around with the clapped out rear view mirror and just looking like an idiot in the school pickup line, or you can replace it. Unfortunately, the FAA doesn't give you that latitude. So you say, "Hey, here's the deal. This is," and or if it's a part you can shop around for, or even like in the G3 days, dude, the windshield on the G3 is the same as on the G4 and as on the G5 and I think on the 455, 52. So you can actually shop around and you can actually buy a used one out of an airplane that went to the junkyard. Like, dude, like the G3 that I used to fly and we sold and went to be a parts airplane. We had put a new windshield in that at like maybe a year ago or less or something. I remember it was really short time period. Like that's a gravy. That thing will last they last for a while. So in that case, with certain legacy Gulfstreams or whatever, you can try and find a used one that's in good condition, especially if you're approaching end of life of that plane. But I mean, that's the thing. Or you just do the best you can. Like I was just telling this story to someone else. Like with some of these different airplanes, certainly not with modern airplanes now because everything's on. They force you to programs, and Honeywell's got you by the balls, and there's just kind of nothing you can do. But back then, you could be a little like we had these IRUs that would fail every couple years, like clockwork. And then you're down your AOG. You got to get overhaul exchange, so you pay more for that, and they would just hose you. And I remember, and we get another one, and
those would fail
like 3 days later,
50-50 on an exchange.
Our DOM he traced it back one time and somehow figured out the DOM who had sent that one in for overhaul exchange, that serial number, and he called him and he's like, "What were you?" And he goes, "It was doing exactly what it just did to us 2 days after we put it in." And so he called Honeywell and they're like, "Well, what did you repair?" And they're like, "Oh, let me look," and slam it on their keyboard. And they're like, "Oh, well, we got it in. It put it on the bench and it bench tested good. So we green tagged it, put it on the shelf." So they didn't do shit. Right. And so I'm like, "This enough of this, dude. Like, this is crazy. We're wasting so much money every time this happens." So I went to my boy Norm Hill with the Gulfstream junkyard out in Mojave, and I'm like, "Send me one, send me one of these IRSs." So I looked at a few and bought one, and I sent it to Honeywell. I'm like, "Look, I want you to overhaul this. No rush. I want the slowest time frame possible, like just as cheap as possible, and ground shipping. I don't care, like whatever." USPS
Flat rate box.
flat rate. No, just kidding. Whatever.
$30,000 IRU,
And,
$9 shipping.
Yeah, so I got this IRU that was like, overhauled and stuff. And then I stuck it on the storage closet, air conditioned, inside, and waited for one to fail. And then you had one in hand. Then you take
Go for
that
the
one,
slow
send
overhaul.
it out for the
Yeah.
long-term, much slower, less expensive overhaul and stick it on the shelf. And that break even on that was like one
That's
change
insane.
when I did the math. But so, once again, I don't know how we got here, but that's like it used to be.
Right.
There was a little
You
bit
had
of
more leeway, but
more thought, and
I
you had
agree.
more
The
options
OEMs
and
have
stuff.
just
But nowadays,
tightened.
the worst is when you say, "Oh, I've got really bad news. This $80,000 part has failed, and there's one place we can buy it, and that is from the manufacturer because they have a contract with all of their everybody they get the parts from. They can only sell them to them, so they have that locked down. You used to be able to go
You can't do
directly
that
to the
anymore.
manufacturer of the part. Sometimes, not anymore. They've locked that down, and you say, it's going to be $80,000. We can only get it one place because they've locked all that up and everything. But that's not the bad news. The bad news is they don't have that part in stock, and they're not estimating to be able to get it for 45 days. So we're down. That happens, and that's the real.
Yeah, that's the double whammy.
That's the supply chain, COVID, whatever keywords you want to throw in there, but that's the real bad one. And then you're like, well, not only, unfortunately, your fixed costs will continue every month while you're not able to use the airplane. But here's your Gulfstream sales rep phone number, or whoever, Bombardier, whatever. This has not actually happened to me yet. We were close, I think, on some Textron part that but anyway.
I remember one of the hardest ones I had to deal with was they found like those cracked ribs in the beach jet horizontal stabilizer. Do you remember that whole fiasco? You were probably out of beach jets by that point. They like boroscoped it and they're like, oh yeah, these are all great news though. The jig is on a semi truck and it'll be to the service center in 20 days. And then we can, you'll be the first one we've ever, and you're just like, oh, great.
No, that's good. I want to be the first one to have a rebuilt
perfect
horizontal stab with somebody that hasn't, with mechanics that haven't built an airfoil in since A&P school at the community college, 100 years ago.
We talk about the dinner reservations and the comedy shows and some of the fun things about Part 91. This is probably the hardest part.
Dude,
especially when you're in the self-managed account. This is the finesse that it takes to really work it through, is to be able to communicate this, manage these types of issues in.
Well, the other thing too I've noticed is a lot of times you're going to be in line with a bunch of other people that are also getting screwed, and so there's an art form of being enough of a pain in the ass to the provider of maintenance or whoever, but not too big of a pain in the ass where you're like you move into you're just being a dick category, but firm and like persistent enough where they're like, I gotta get this guy off my back, like, and because you can get things done quicker, like if you understand the fine line of applying just around my right amount of pressure.
That is tough to do, but especially when you know that this guy's just fielding calls from pilots who are all used to the world revolving around them all day long. You have to be able to provide a little bit of different approach.
Well, you have to be. You have to combine two things that are very difficult. You have to be very firm, but also empathetic to their position. Say, look, dude, I get you didn't wake up one day and do this, but this whole thing is fucked, and this is unacceptable on so many levels. I'm not going to make you recount with me, but
we got to get this resolved, bro.
We got to solve this problem together.
Pull together, win together, my friend. Well, a little therapy session. I appreciate that, Max. That's good. Last thing I wanted to talk about before we move on. We had done the NBAA Opps manual episode back in December, And I had mentioned that one of my main goals for 2026 was integrating that ops manual into our operation. And look, it's not an overnight process. You're not going to, no one's going to know all the call outs and all of the things they're introducing on January 1st. But one of the main things that I wanted to introduce was the latest touchdown point calculation. And we've talked about this on the show multiple times. It's something you do at Southwest. And so NBAA basically in the guide has the calculation, which is the latest touchdown point is not the planned touchdown point. If unexpected conditions take the aircraft further down the runway than the desired touchdown, the latest touchdown point identifies the latest point where the aircraft can touch down and safely stop within the given conditions. Changing conditions require the aircraft landing distance be recalculated. The latest touchdown point must be recalculated and a new visual point identified. So essentially, you take your landing distance available, you subtract your adjusted landing distance, which is the AFM landing distance and the applicable factor. You add 1,000 feet from the runway threshold to aim point markings or air distance. And then you essentially calculate a point. You take that number and then you use it to calculate a point on the runway where you say, all right, if we don't touch down by this point, this taxiway intersection or the end of this ramp or this building or whatever, then we're going to go around. And so that's the way NBAA does it. I know Southwest does it a little bit differently, but I was just curious how it's very similar.
It's very similar in spirit. It's just it's very hard to compare apples to apples because just briefly, our performance data comes back with stopping margin, right? Not landing distance. And so you calculate differently, but it's the same.
So let's say you get your stopping margin or whatever. And this is the crux of my question here, because the math is the math. How do you implement that onto the chart to figure out, okay, this is where we're going to go? Like, how are you?
That's what I was just going to ask you. And so originally, do you know what AMM is on Jepson?
No, I don't know if I do.
Okay. So AMM is like a new generation taxi chart.
Okay.
That is like, as you zoom in, you get more detail and you get like, like for instance, on a ramp, spot numbers, you'll get like spot numbers if you zoom in enough and it's like far more detailed. It's 1,000 times better than the regular just taxi chart. I'll have to show it to you. But so on
this
that,
is on Flight Deck Pro.
Yeah.
Okay.
You select the runway that you're landing on. You select that runway, and then there's a little toggle for landing distances, and it will quote you in little boxes the distance down the runway to each intersecting runway, taxiway, everying. Right?
Oh.
So we have the ability to use that, which is very helpful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But initially you didn't. And so what I would do, and we have it also in this other performance, we can run the performance through the FMS and ACARs, or you can do it on an app we have too. And on that app, it shows a satellite view of the runway, and it will show a yellow, it will be yellow, highlighted in yellow up to the latest touchdown point. So it'll show you graphically on there too, and it shows the taxiways.
So you don't even have to like calculate the feet?
No, you don't. But when we originally implemented this, we did not have either of those things. And so what I would do, honestly, is, and this is back when we had paper, right? Because we had paper releases and stuff too, is I would take a piece of paper and on my iPad, I would zoom it to the appropriate level, right? And then there's the scale on the chart.
Yep.
And I would mark on a piece of paper that scale, because remember, the scale will change based on your zoom. So once you mark it, you can't zoom anymore.
Yep.
And then I would put it on the runway and be like, okay, so this is where. So that's how I would do it before. Or a lot of times, what's very helpful is the runway markings, right? And so a lot of times that latest touchdown point will coincide within the runway markings for a given runway. So those are
which
pretty helpful.
Is easier at Southwest when you're landing at bigger runways where you often have that runway distance remaining sign. So BizAv a little bit more tricky. So I've been playing with a couple different techniques. And so I just I'm really not saying this is how you should do it. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do this. And so I'm really opening this up to the listeners to get some input from them. If anyone has tried this or they do this in their operation, to sort of figure out how you can do this. So I am going to try and make a video companion. I'm going to try and screen record this so Khaleesi can like splice this in right now so you can see it. But what I found is in ForeFlight, similar to what you're talking about, Max, you can zoom in on the airport, right? Just from the map, not on the chart, but on the map. You can zoom in on an airport, and if you continue to zoom in, it'll show the taxiways and everything. And then if you remember in ForeFlight, you can place your 2 fingers down, and it'll create that little measure tool. And it actually is in feet. If you're zoomed in close enough. So I'm essentially like, we'll pick the round number as this latest touchdown point. You know, I'm doing the calculation of essentially adding the, I do it a little differently than the way they do it, but I'm essentially like, let's say my factored distance is 4,000 and then I add the 1,000. So it's a 5,000. And then what I'm doing is from the back of the runway, measuring the end of the runway, I should say, measuring out 5,000 feet and then finding the point that way. And it seems to work, and the math seems to match versus doing their calculation. It essentially, you have to figure out, do I want to measure this from the start of the runway, from the beginning of the touchdown zone, or I'm sorry, the beginning of the runway available, or do I want to measure it from the end of the runway? And I found it kind of eliminates a step if you do it from the end of the runway. So that's what I've been using. We also we're using that scale that you mentioned at first. That was the first way we were doing it. And I was taking like a Post-it note or whatever is in your cockpit, and then you can mark it. But then you got to kind of, like you said, the scale is not the same at different airports. Because I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we just had printed out a little ruler, or something that we could just have? But that's not going to work.
Doesn't work so good with the zooming.
Yeah. And then you got to make sure and that's really hard on an iPad. That's hard to do, we found out, because the iPad, it's really easy to zoom on the chart with the iPad with your fingers while you're moving around. So then you got to make sure that the zoom is constant. So that's really tricky.
Yeah, it is hard, but it's kind of, you zoom in first so you can see everything you want, and then do the scale and just figure out where the touchdown.
So that's a little trickier. It actually turned out, I think your airplane has charts in the MFD, right?
Yeah.
We found it was actually easier to do it off that than off the iPad, because you're not when you're touching and moving around, it's different, and and that screen can maybe be a little bigger. So I don't know. Like I said, we're just trying to implement this and trying to figure out the best way to do it. This is what I've found. What I've been doing is just using the measuring tool with ForeFlight seems to be the best way to do it so far. But
that's cool.
I'd be curious to hear if anyone else is trying to do this and how they're doing it. I can't believe they just like graphically put it all in there for you guys. Yeah. So are you doing? What's your job, to type the weather in?
What do you mean?
When you're doing this calculation, does it know everything? It knows what you weigh. It knows the weather. It knows. So you're like looking.
No. Well, so if it's different. If you're doing it on the FMC, then you have to put in the runway you're landing at. If there's and you have to put in the braking action and stuff like that. And then it pulls the weather and does it. But on the app, you have to put it. No, the app doesn't know your weight, didn't know your zero fuel. So you got to pull the zero fuel weight and then your landing weight. And then it pulls the weather from, as long as you got Wi-Fi, it's working. And then you select the runway condition code and whatever else. But
there's a couple things you still have to do.
Yeah, it's that app is really nice, because on the FMC, you got to do it, and you got to send it, and then it comes back, and you got to pull. And if you're landing somewhere where, for instance, if you're going to Chicago Midway in the winter and it's snowing and there's a storm there, so the conditions are rapidly changing, and you don't have a lot of extra stopping margin to work with, having it all up on the iPad is really nice, because you can just refresh the METAR or change a runway condition code, or you can change an auto brake or whatever, and you can manipulate it with rapidly changing conditions really quickly, a lot quicker than with the FMC. But I don't know. I want to say the FMC maybe is like less overall button pushes. If it's just a normal, you're landing in Phoenix and winds are 220 at 7, like everything's dry and clear in a million and whatever, So I use both, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And I know you guys have, I saw you guys were in some short airports recently in the 280. Do you think you'll try or have you guys started doing this in the 280?
Oh yeah, we've been doing it for since it was instituted in the 121 world, and I was like, oh, that's actually a really good idea, because that's not the time to be evaluating if you have enough runway left to stop, is when you're floating down the runway or in a bad situation. So we've been doing it like that for a long time.
Got it. And
but typically too. So it's funny because with that so if you're landing on a 12,000 foot runway, per that NBAA calculation, you could be like, oh, our latest point of touchdown is at 8,000 feet down the runway, right? So the way that the 121 has gotten around that, you have your calculation, right? Or the first third or 3,000 feet, whichever is less. So if you're on a really long runway, just be like, look, dude, if we don't have it down by 3,000 feet, which is on a long runway would be what? The very end of the touch of all the touchdown zone markings, right? So you don't have it down by the last marking. Send it around.
Send it. That's funny too. I'm just looking at Scottsdale, and that first 3,000 feet is almost exactly the point at where we calculated if we go backwards the other way. So it's like the same spot.
Yeah,
but because it's 1,000 foot runway. But yeah, cool. All right. Well, that's good. Well, we're just starting the conversation here. Look, I did not write the guide. I might be implementing it not exactly the way they said. I'm open to feedback on this procedure and the best way to do it. So let's all try and learn together this year on that. Okay, Max, we've already been going for an hour. We haven't even gotten to any of the listener info. So let's dive right in, shall we?
Well, wait, one more thing. Did you want to talk about our watch situation here?
Please go ahead.
So, however many episodes back it was, probably, I don't know, 5, 6, something like that. I don't know. But I talked about watches, right? And specifically, there's a watch that I think is really cool, which is the Rolex GMT Master. And the specific model, that was back in the 50s when Rolex had a deal with Pan Am, and Rolex would give these watches for free to Pan Am, and Pan Am would give them to the pilots. And it was a publicity thing, and there was a bunch of magazine and newspaper ads and stuff with the Pan Am pilot with the Rolex GMT Master, and the GMT Master was different because it had 2-hour hands, right? So you could set 2 different time zones. And so for pilots, that was cool. And it was the Pepsi one, which is because it had half of the dial was blue, half was red to indicate day and night. And it's a cool watch, has a cool aviation history, and it's one on my list that I'd like to have one day. And one of our listeners wrote in and was like, hey, I actually build watches for a hobby. And he buys the parts online, and can kind of, he's like, and so we kind of emailed back and forth, and I was like, dude, would you build us like a couple of watches? It'd be so cool. And so I picked out the case and the face and the hands, and we got a GMT movement, which means, so it has 2-hour hands. It's an actual mechanical movement, and the bracelet design, and all that stuff. And basically what I did, so of this Rolex, the legend goes on the GMT Masters that they were giving them, to Pan Am to give to the pilots. And some of the executives were like, oh, this is, I want one of these. And so they swiped some of the pilot watches that they were intended for the pilots. So the lore goes is that, the pilot ones had black, the face was black, right? Inside of the watch. And so then supposedly Rolex created them for the executives, same watch, but with a white face, right? And it's called the albino Rolex GMT Master. And they're like super rare, and some people are like, those don't even exist. And then like you can look on the internet. I'm looking at one right now. Apparently they do exist, and they're
like, is it for sale? Like you're looking at?
No. The guy is not willing to sell it. And if they did, it would go for a lot of money, but no one really knows because none have really been sold. So it's kind of a thing. So, so when I created this watch, I was like, oh, it'll be cool. We'll make the albino one. That way, anybody that knows like watches will look at that, and it's clearly not a Rolex, but it's it looks like one, and it's cool. But instead of where it has on the face of the watch where it says Rolex and has the crown, our boy Gabriel had the 21.5 show logo like in a decal made, and so he placed it very carefully on the face, which is it's like a thing. It's not. He's done this before. This is like a thing you order from a company. They make this really small little deal, and so it's cool. So instead of saying Rolex, it says 21.5 podcast, or it just says 21.5 and has the logo, I think. And so anyway, it's just a really cool, very unique watch. It has like some thought that went into how it was designed, and Gabriel was awesome about making them for us. And so yeah, it's super cool. So we just got him in the mail like last Friday. I just gave Dylan his last night, and it's pretty sick.
Unbelievable job, Gabriel. I put that on, and like immediately we were at like a family function. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, that watch is incredible!" Like everyone was like drawn to it. It's funny too because I've worn an Apple Watch for so long, as you painfully know, and no one ever says anything about my watch, and you are always wearing really cool watches, and people. I imagine it's a lot more of a conversation starter, and people actually like talk to you about it. It was weird for me last night for people to be like, "Oh, your watch, I love it," and I'm like, "That's so strange for someone to know." To me, I think, why would you notice that? And
just wait till you get the phantom vibrations too. Like you look at your watch thinking it vibrated with a notification, and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh wait, this watch doesn't
be nice.
vibrate."
It'll honestly be nice, and you won't have to.
Oh, it is, dude. Got to cut the cord. But yeah, and it's cool. The cool thing about having a watch is like. It's one thing to be like, oh, that's a cool watch, and just be like, oh yeah, I just bought it for myself, whatever. But it's cool to have a watch with a story. Like I have a couple. Well, I have like 3 watches that all have like there were gifts that were like were very meaningful gifts that have a cool story of why somebody gave them to me. So yeah, it's cool. But anyway, thank you, Gabriel, for doing that for us. It's very much appreciated.
Very,
very
unique.
Cool.
Awesome, Gabriel.
We'll post some pictures.
Thank you.
Of your craftsmanship.
High quality. I mean, it looks so good.
Oh, they're awesome, dude. It's really cool. Who even knew that building watches was a hobby? I for a minute thought about taking it up, and I'm like,
with all your spare time, that seems like something you'd.
Dude, but this guy too, he takes and there's a device that can measure the accuracy of a mechanical movement, and it's typically in seconds per day, like how many seconds it's off from
an Apple
perfect
Watch,
timekeeping. Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And he even put these movements on that thing and like adjusted the movement to fine tune it, so it's like like a Rolex is well, I'll say it's typically less than 5 seconds per day. And I think the Omega Speedmaster that was like the moon watch that was for the astronauts is like the backup timekeeping, stopwatch for the like Apollo missions and stuff. That one's like is same thing. It's like, or like 3 seconds a day. I don't remember exactly, but it's super close. And he dialed these in like they were off, and he adjusted them to be like super accurate. So yeah, and they're Japanese movements, so it's I
love it.
No joke.
Yeah, I'm excited to become a watch guy. Just needed a little push. Gabriel, I wonder if Gabriel wants to. Is this a business opportunity for him? Should he start making Pan Am watches?
We can make our own.
Well, like how you have all your
so that way if it's another listener to the show, he has the watch kind of like in the terminal. You're like, what's up? Yeah,
it's like the commuter vest, and then in Gabriel's watch, it's like yeah.
We're all in this club.
Well, I was thinking with all those defunct airline cocktail glasses you have, and then you take.
Did you hear the new one I got?
Yeah,
I sent you a picture of that, right? For some reason, I really wanted this one from Bonanza Airlines. Did you know Bonanza had relocated their headquarters to Phoenix at one time before they went bankrupt?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Got to live. So you could live in base there. See, it's great. Would have been an option.
Dude, the funny of the story of this, I bought this Bonanza glass from this dude on eBay, and he writes me a couple days later. He's like, I have to apologize. I'm really sorry. Like, I don't know where these glasses went. I cannot find them. He goes, I will send you 2 of these Western Airways glasses. And I'm like, oh, that's a bummer, but all right. I didn't have a Western Airlines glass, so he sent me those 2 glasses. And then I don't know, for some reason, it's what it is. It's in the Las Vegas terminal when you go from the C gates to the B gates, or the little banjo ones, the round ones that are kind of a long walk. You walk past this like display case with some old Bonanza Airlines, like it kind of talks about Bonanza Airlines. And I walked past it a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, damn it, I really want that Bonanza Airlines cocktail glass. So I went on my eBay messages and went back, and I wrote the guy. I'm like, hey, did you ever find those Bonanza glasses? He wrote me back, and he's like, great news, I found it. I'm sending it out tomorrow. So I got 3 glasses for the price of one, and I finally got my Bonanza glasses.
Unbelievable. eBay.
I know.
It's unbelievable. They did have a San Diego hub at one point. I wonder if they were running into any efficiency problems too. I'm just learning about Bonanza. They went out of business in 1968. But it was a good run.
Yeah, 1968. It's a real vintage
class. A small Western city. Oh, do you know what type of aircraft they were operating?
Was it a Fokker F-27 or something?
Fairchild, yeah, F-27.
Fairchild, that's
unbelievable. Amazing, you could on that type of airplane. You got your own shot glass.
It wasn't a shot glass. It's a cocktail.
I'm sorry, cocktail glass.
No. That's the problem. I really want a People Express and a New York Air, but those were like budget airlines. So I'm not sure.
That was like a plastic cup.
I'm not sure that a cocktail glass actually exists for those airlines. So apparently there's these conventions, the airline memorabilia conventions. Did you know this?
Oh, I would go to that.
People get together, and there's a dude at Southwest that has this collection of hats from all these airlines that he has in his office displayed all over. I guess I've never met him, but I've heard from other people. It sounds really cool. And not really looking to get into that, but the glasses I think are enough.
One last hobby for you, Max, in 2026. I think will be. Next time you're in SeaTac, have you been into that airline? They have a vintage airline
but I already
store
have something on my
terminal.
list to go in. Christian wore this Lockheed Skunk Works T-shirt the other day.
Yeah.
Sick. Where did you get that? And that's where he got it from.
I got you a Pan Am shirt. That's where I got you a Pan Am shirt from.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I wear that.
Yeah, you have to go in there in Seattle next sometime. Check that out. All right, we really got to keep it moving here. We're like, what are we going to talk about today?
This is why we started the podcast.
Goes.
This is just us hanging out.
Yeah, exactly.
10 years ago.
Just a hangout episode. All right. Great listener comments to get to. Some from YouTube, some from Apple Podcasts. Listen, if you shoot us a review, we will happily return the favor by sending you a Rolex Albino GMT. Or maybe a sticker of the watch. I don't know, maybe we can make that. Just shoot us an email, info@215podcast.com with your mailing address, and we'll shoot you a sticker. First review says Dylan, Max, Khaleesi, and Reggie. I guess after listening for your podcast for several years now, and after you recently supported me and my team's around the world flight virtual adventure, I suppose it's time to finally write a review of your amazing podcast. First off, seeing the show morph over the years really shows the flexibility you guys have to stay ahead of the typical aviation podcasts out there. Always love whenever James O'Neill or Timothy Pope comes on because the amount of knowledge that gets dropped is pure gold. The Roger Reeves lengthy yet entertaining episodes were also memorable. Even my wife enjoyed those, but she's built different than most women. But every time I see a new creative episode pop up on my subscribed podcast, I genuinely get excited to listen. And yeah, sometimes while on my driving commute to the airport, I pretty much recommend your show to all my aviation compadres and haven't heard any complaints. The Reggie created songs are so good, by the way. Okay, I got a fan. Lastly, thank you to Dylan for helping one of my personal passion projects, the Cali Crew World Flight Team. We built and took a full B737 cockpit simulator around the world as a team, all the while live streaming on YouTube and Twitch to raise money for our aviation charity, Angel West Flight West. Your donation helped, so thank you so much, and thanks for saying hi in the chat. It meant a lot. Anyways, with that shameless plug out of the way, thank you for continuing to stay fresh and relevant. Always looking forward to the next 5-star episode. Keep up the entertaining content. And that is from, he says, respectfully, your fellow Zennial professional pilot, Shane, AA Captain Chemtrails. That was crazy. It was like a week long that they flew the sim around the world. I'd popped in a couple times on the live stream to watch, and there's air traffic controllers. This is a whole thing. guys are sitting in this cockpit. Just so pretty impressive. That's something I did not know existed. So maybe that could be a hobby for you too, Max. Sometime. Quiet, honey. Bringing it into Kaohsiung right now.
Currently consumed with pickleball. Can't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, at least you won't hurt yourself if you do this one.
That's true.
All right. You want to go ahead with the next YouTube comment?
I would love to, except I don't have the Google Doc.
No, okay. All right, no problem. I'll read this to you. I'll read this one to you. The next one comes, it's a comment from our latest episode with James. And Wendy says, great insights, particularly the part about on discussing part 141 versus 61. I am a parent of a second year part 141 student in a college program, will come out with a BS in aeronautics, who is on instrument now and loves his program, but has now decided that once he graduates, wants to enter the Navy as an officer to pursue the dream of flying fighters. He has spoken to a few fighter pilots as well as reserve pilots. All we can think of is that hopefully the Part 141 collegiate program money is not a waste. Though I guess how could anything that you are thriving in and learning be a waste? Thanks so much for your opinions and insights.
ATP Flight School's airline partners plan to hire 5,000 pilots this year. And that's going to sustain over the next few years. Things are looking up. It's a bold statement. Kevin Frazier, 7815. Can you tell me if Palantir is going to get hit 500 too in the next 2 years? Because it's about the same.
That would be good. Yeah. Send a private message to us.
I think you should have rephrased this. That's hopefully going to sustain, or that's supposed to sustain. Like you got to leave yourself a way out in aviation. If you try and predict anything with certainty over the next few years, that frightens me. But listen,
frightening. Indeed.
Positive news is always good.
Fingers are crossed. I hear they're relaunching Bonanza Airlines soon, so they're going to be hiring 1,000 a month. So could be.
They're going to be based out of San Diego.
San Diego base, big Fairchild F-27 San Diego base. It's perfectly equipped to handle those.
Flying to Carlsbad nonstop
into the June gloom. Yeah, dude. Speaking of that, did you hear that JSX is going to be flying ATRs out of Santa Monica to Scottsdale?
Yes. Oh my God, the people in Santa Monica have got to be so pissed. Let's chop the runway in half. That'll stop them.
They get the bigger airplane than ever.
Okay. Here's the thing. So I live north of the Scottsdale airport, like kind of right on the path of a visual approach. And nothing is more offensive going to that airport than JSX. I don't know what it is about these guys that need to descend immediately to pattern altitude, freaking 10 miles from the airport with the landing gear down, flaps extended, 80% thrust, holding level flight over my house. Like, dude, VNAV, 2 words, 4 letters. I don't know if it's 2 words, whatever, but 2 syllables. Like, everybody else that flies in the airport is an idle thrust, making a nice descent to the whatever altitude gate
slope,
where they're going to turn final. It's great. And then
drop the gear as you turn final.
Freaking jabronis and the Embraer just ripping over my house. Like, and it's not that loud, but it's just like, dude, it's just unprofessional. That's it. This red stripe guy's like,
facts.
It's enough that you had to throw your tantrum and not let us jump seat over the whole Dallas Love Field thing. But
that's right.
This is a whole nother level.
That's right. That's what this is all about. Yeah, I got it. Insult to injury.
It's great, but
it's such a great product.
Save some fuel.
Funny. If you remember correctly from our American Eagle days, Max, I mean, they're flying the same planes, probably the exact planes. There's no that Universal and Honeywell setup in the Primus. You can't couple VNAV. You can't load a visual approach.
I'm talking about
you can't do
visual
anything.
VNAV, dude. Look at the airport. Yeah. Set some sort of look out the window, descend, not to pattern altitude. Everybody's still stuck on entering the 2-mile, 45-degree entry to the downwind at pattern altitude, even though it drives me nuts. Okay. Have you noticed that when you're at my house?
I have noticed you complaining about it.
Wait, are you saying my complaints are louder than the actual aircraft itself? flying over my
I'm
house.
sure I don't live under the flight path, so I'm sure if you observed, I mean, I know exactly like what you're talking about. I get it. Listen, it's hard to get down low enough to pattern altitude as it is in most airplanes, so I don't know how they're that low, that far out anyways. Usually you're at idle thrust just trying to get down.
I know. They must be calling the airport in sight 50 miles out.
Doing.
I don't know what's going on over there. We got
to analyze
if
the
there's a
flight
JSX pilot, Scott Snell, listening, can you please explain this to me? Because I am really...
How are you that low? How did you get
struggling.
that low?
Why are you so... How did you even do that? Well, the Embraer, if you remember, is not the... That thing slowed down pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember it being very loud in the cockpit. That's my primary memory of that airplane.
Well, the only thing I can hope is that how much longer is the Embraer 135 going to be around? Like, those things have got to have some time on them.
Well, I can guarantee you what airplane will get down quick and be low is the ATR.
Yeah, but also it's probably very quiet. The Europeans are very noise sensitive over there.
All right, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
I'll tell you what's going to be loud is the people in Santa Monica bitching and moaning.
It's just, I can't.
Oh my God.
There's going to be...
That is so fun.
Somebody's going to plant a stick of dynamite in the middle of that runway.
That's the first thing I thought when I saw it. I'm like, how... These people hate airplanes in Santa Monica.
And you're going to do regularly scheduled service out of there. That's going to be incredible. Over, under. Let's set an over, under. Before that, do you think that makes it through the end of 26?
You think the ICE protests were aggressive? Wait till you see the Santa Monica residents protesting at the terminal and at the FBO, wherever the ATR comes
Standing in front of a
no
tug.
No more ATRs!
I don't know. You think you think those ATRs are still operating there by the end of 2026?
I don't know, but you know what? They are going to be quiet. They have to be. That's probably what,
I'll be curious. I'm excited.
They're going to be like, well, it's not as loud as Tom Cruise's P-51, so
big win. All right. Up next, Max, of course, is the mailbag. This episode's mailbag is, of course, brought to you by our friends at Advanced Aircrew Academy, where required training finally feels like it was designed by people who actually fly for a living, and they do. Their online courses are concise, scenario-based, and built around real-world decision-making, not academic busy work or death by PowerPoint. Whether you're brushing up on performance, regulations, or human factors, Advanced Aircrew Academy delivers the why behind the rules, not just the rule itself. And for flight department managers, the platform is a game changer. Clean dashboards, automatic tracking, and instant proof of compliance without chasing pilots or spreadsheets at midnight. If you want training that respects your time and your experience, head to Advanced Aircrew Academy. Smart training for professional crews. aircrewacademy.com. Link is in the show notes.
We have some destination guide updates from Mike I alluded to earlier. In Cabo Pulmo is a super cool little dive town with great snorkeling up the coast from San Jose. The drive up to Cabo Pulmo on the Camino Cabo Este has some really awesome views. Tacos and beer also has great tacos.
That's good. That's a good thing for them to
probably
execute
have beer
on.
too. And then Teterboro.
Whoa.
I know. There's some really great hiking at Palisades Interstate Park, a 25-minute drive north of Teterboro. Google New Jersey Giant Stairs for some images. It's legit, and it's right there. I tell you, hiking was pretty far down the list of things I was thinking you could do on a Teterboro overnight.
In Teterboro? I know.
That's cool.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's kind of it's on the river. It's on the Hudson River up north. That's pretty cool. Giant stairs. I'll have to look at that up later. I've updated both the destination guides with those, so thank you, Mike, for those contributions. Next email says, ferry flying episode idea. Hey, gents, I've listened to your entire catalog and don't recall you ever diving into ferry flying as a profession. I love the show and especially enjoyed when you invited guests to talk about niche corners of aviation like blimp flying, tree spraying, and even dumping half-frozen flies. With that in mind, would you have considered interviewing Sam Rutherford or Carrie McCauley, or maybe even both? They have incredible ferry flying experience and would make for a fascinating episode. And then he shared some links for them. Thanks for all the great work. Keep it up. And that's Best from Sohill.
I would love to talk to a ferry pilot. I'd love to talk to somebody that just throws huge fuel tanks in the fuselage and just sends it to Hawaii or wherever.
Are we talking like piston airplane fuel ferry?
Any of them, dude? Like, I mean,
yeah. Or like, how do we get a beach jet to Hawaii kind of a thing?
Yeah, like the nomadic guys, like that's kind of interesting, but
yeah.
But I mean the guys that are like, in a Cirrus or a Twin Otter with. Well, actually, I had a guy that that I knew that was ferrying a Twin Otter to Hawaii.
Yep.
And a couple years ago, and they were out, had coasted out, and they had a problem with the fuel transfer of getting they had big fuselage tanks, and they turned around and came back and actually ran out of gas and crashed into the ocean. And he died, still strapped in when the Coast Guard diver found him. So
that's gnarly,
fraught with danger. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things relying on
some like
things working
fuel
right
systems.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's be a scary thing, but I mean, I would just love to hear the mentality of like, what makes you, what drives you, what's the motivation to do this versus like obviously some easier, less dangerous things. But it'd be interesting.
The flying's probably the easy part. It's just
I don't know, flying the blue spruce routes in a Cirrus.
Yeah,
the weather's nasty. It could be, dude. That was one thing. I was flying a couple days ago, and I heard this guy in a Mooney. He's like, "Oh, Mooney, whatever. We're picking up some moderate icing right now. We need to. We're going to need to do something different." So the controller's like, "Mooney, whatever. Say intentions." And he's like, "Well, can we go lower?" And the controller's like, well, the minimum vectoring altitude in that area was like a couple 100 feet lower than he is." And so he's like, "Well, I guess we'll try and climb." And I was like, "Oh, dude, this is so scary." I'm like, I said to the captain, I go, "I hope that thing's a turbo." and he climbed. You hear him. He goes, "Oh, yeah, we just the controller just gives him some block altitude." He's like, "Oh, Mooney, whatever, you cleared block to whatever." And the guy, like, it sounds like he was barely able to climb and get in the clear, and then like the ice started sublimating, and he's like, "Okay, I could take direct destination now." I'm like, whew. It's on the edge of my seat. Poor guy.
That's one thing I've never really done is like encountered icing in a piston airplane. Just like
I have one time. One of those dumb things, when you're a flight instructor in Arizona and you're like in the weathers and you're like, "Oh, let's go get some actual IFR. Let's rent a plane and go fly in the clouds and fly approaches." What an idiotic thing to do now, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. And then, we started getting a little ice in our 180 horsepower 172.
Couple dudes in there probably already.
Couple dudes didn't know. Like, "Oh, look, you actually get icing. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro."
Yikes.
Morons.
Next email.
"Hello, guys. I'm so honored to have an audience with executives of both Eagle careers as well as Eagle Airlines. I have a little bit of a different question. As a relatively new pilot at a Big Three carrier, when am I safe to purchase a home? Currently, I have about 1,600 numbers below me at the red, white, and blue airline, but based on the cyclical nature of the industry and the fact that home prices are so high in my area, I'd be very hard-pressed to make payments with a real job. I'm 28, married, about to have a newborn, and have no debt. We have always been big savers, etc., but it would be very nice to have a place of our own. So the big question is, when are you really safe? And how do you budget for potential conciliatory contracts? Thanks again, guys. Keep up the great work." I mean, look, especially at your airline, look at the retirement numbers. Like, not to say that you couldn't find yourself on the street in a year, because you never say never in this business, but it's pretty unlikely, especially if you buy a house based on your current level of compensation, that like, I would be more worried. Like, you have to be asking yourself other questions too that have the equal amount of difficulty in predicting the future. Like, what's going to happen with interest rates? What's going to happen with home values? Like, we're looking at even the current administration policies that are being thrown around with 50-year mortgages or, prohibitions on institutional investors, owning residential rental property portfolios. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So, the thing is, a lot of it has not very much solid predictability. And so I would say from your job perspective, like there's no way to know when it's safe, but you're probably pretty safe. But you have to look too. Like I was involved a lot in the downturn of the real estate industry in 2009, 2008,
Yes.
after the financial crisis.
Yeah.
Like and Dylan was too with me. Like we did everything I sold was distressed, whether bank owned. I sold a lot of short sales, negotiated short sales with the bank for a bunch of people. Like I was in the thick of it.
The certified distressed property expert, I believe, was the credential we held.
That's right.
Yes.
I was. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what I learned is while your credit history is very important and gives you a lot of options in your financial future, if things go really bad, like you'd be surprised how much debt that I saw people walk away from with very, very little penalty. I mean, we're talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars we negotiated these short sales for. And yeah, they took a credit hit. And like 2 years later, they're back at 750. Like it is over 700. Like it's not when you take a step back and you look at it after the dust settled. I mean, these people walked away from $500,000 of debt, and their credit was down for a couple years. Like it's not that big of a deal, honestly. Very recoverable. So if you're looking at like worst case scenario, you lose your job, you're not going to be able to make your payment. Well, rather than let it get foreclosed, you find somebody negotiate a short sale, which for those of you who don't know, that's the bank letting you to sell, signing off and releasing the lien on your house for less than the total payoff. Because you lost your job, you're not going to be able to pay it anyway. It's cheaper for everybody. It's better. It's a better scenario for everybody involved. Not to say that that's going to happen, but my point is, like, if it does, it's really not the end of the world, and certainly not even your financial world. Like it's a short term thing, and it's not difficult to recover from.
Yeah. That and the angle I wanted to approach it, I agree with everything you said, is that without knowing where you live and what airplane you're based on, and domicile, all that kind of stuff. To me, I think the thing that you wonder about is like, what's the path forward at your airline? And is this the place that you want to put roots down? Or like, are you in one of the small bases? And like you're barely hanging on, and then like is buying a house, like that's the kind of things I might be thinking about. Like what if this base closes? Is there another airplane you can bid to? Does the domicile, what kind of flexibility does your domicile have?
But if you're in Dallas, you're good to go.
Yeah, if you're in Dallas, you're good to go. I mean, Max and I might be your neighbors soon. Who knows?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
But yeah, that would be the from the practicality standpoint of like, and look, I don't think there's really any quote small bases in America. Like every city is pretty big with multiple airplanes, but one thing to consider there. And then Max, you and I can talk, but we actually got a pro in here to respond. Our Diamond Dog, Tim Pope, I sent this email to him. I knew this would be right up his alley. Here's what he said. Keith asks some great questions and faces the same reality of many young pilots in high cost of living areas. Here are a few things that he can control. When making a home purchase, keep the monthly mortgage payment within 25% of your gross income. This builds in some flexibility for possible turbulent times. Bring a larger down payment to lower the monthly mortgage costs. Choose a lender that will allow him to recast the mortgage at a future date. The initial lender often sells the note, so when that happens, call and inquire about recasting. That is a great tip, Tim. Presuming he's going to stay in this home for a while, use the good times to make additional principal payments, then recast the note if things get turbulent. This allows him to lower the payment by amortizing the note over the remaining term without having to get a new loan. During the good times, if rates drop and he has an opportunity to refi to a lower rate, he might consider making the same payments as he did on the original mortgage to direct more money to the principal. This, like the point above, is all to hedge against decrease in income. Lastly, if none of the options above work for him, he can wait. At 28 years old, there's plenty of time to save and buy a home when he's comfortable with the transaction. These are all really good points from Tim. A mortgage.
That sounded a lot more professional.
What's that?
That sounded a lot more professional.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. A mortgage recast is a really powerful tool if you understand how to do it, and it's not very expensive, and it avoids a lot of the traps of doing a refi. So, something for you to Google tonight or on your commute.
My first job selling pots and pans in home, I was told never to talk about politics, religion, or sex. I kept that policy through the years and appreciate others who do the same. I interpret the old saying, opinions are like assholes, everyone has one, to mean that we can just assume I don't need to show you mine and I don't need to see yours. Thank you for avoiding politics and keep resisting anyone who baits you. It's all too easy to slip into it without meaning to. I, for one, feel a lot more comfortable without politics seeping in. I have enough of that in my life already. Thank you and keep up the good work. And that's from Rebecca.
All right. Well, I slipped up, Rebecca, because I started talking about Allegiant, talking about Allegiant political pressures and the, whoops.
I don't think that's what she was referring to.
Good advice, Rebecca. Last email says, Dylan and Max, I absolutely love this idea. Oh, we're talking about the NBAA Opps manual. That's the context. It says, I absolutely love this idea, but it was very frustrating to hear the training center reps talk about how they have adhered to company SOPs for years. They talk a lot about this, but not once in all the years of attending twice a year have I had an instructor be prepared to do this despite having our standards captain discuss it with them in advance of training. Not once have I had an instructor offer feedback to a sim partner who doesn't make even the most basic callouts, even when that person is one of their employees. The training centers need to do better with training and retaining instructors. Thanks for all you do. And that's from Chris.
Well, again, Chris, we're hopeful that this new spotlight being put on SOPs will help with that.
Absolutely.
But he's right. I've never received any sort of critique at either training provider about, well, you guys could have done, I could have done some better. You didn't, call out the final approach fix crossing altitude.
Yeah.
Next time, make sure you clean that up.
Oh, that was one other thing from the sim that I remembered. We had an approach that it was a localizer approach, and I think it was for the circle. And it was a time-based missed approach. That was the only way to define it. And I remember reading that for quite a while and being like, I'm pretty sure this time is the only option here. And I was talking to the instructor, the other guy, and he's like, what? So it was good.
Oh, dude, that reminds me of something. So I was just thinking when you said localizer approach, I'm like, we always fly those in training. Yeah. Never fly them in real life.
San Diego.
So I had a DCA overnight. I got in at 2:00. Last week. And so as soon as I saw that, I went on the Smithsonian website and got my free ticket to the air space, because I stayed in the hotel res in the mall, literally right across, really close to the Air and Space Museum. So, and it had been closed for a while because they were redoing it. And so I went there and checked that out. It was kind of a bummer because it's still not fully open. So the World War II section wasn't open yet and stuff. But I mean, there are, and the Hazy one out by Dulles is much larger and has a lot of really cool stuff too. But this one, dude, I mean, it's the original Wright Flyer that's in there. It's the one. They recovered it in 1985, but the museum did. But I mean, it's the original Wright Flyer. That's kind of something that's one of those times you're in awe of history when you see that. You're like, I took a picture. I'll send it to Khaleesi to put up on
it was amazing. Yeah, we saw it last
something,
summer when we took the kids to DC. It was great.
It's pretty cool. You're like, wow, it's the real. And then they have some cool video animations of the first flight and then the most successful flight, and they looked like a real handful. But but that's pretty cool. And the Bell X1 I think is really neat to see. And there's just some really cool stuff so I did that. And then came out, and I was going to go to some other museums, and I came outside, and it was just pouring rain. I'm just like, oh, this is why I hate this. And so I walked back to the hotel, and then next to the hotel is the International Spy Museum. So I went to that.
Oh, there you go.
That's pretty cool too.
Love it.
Just like a corporate trip, baby.
I know. I was going to say, look at you.
How busy I was.
Yeah, but you didn't pack enough clothes for all that.
I know. I
didn't have
my slicker. I should really
Lockheed Skunk Works T-shirt to wear into the Air Museum.
My rain gear. Yeah, I know. Right.
I'm a pilot. I fly these. I'm a pilot.
Yeah. Oh,
you have any questions?
My point was, and they had this commercial aviation exhibit, and it was cool because they had old airplanes, like the DC-7. I was kind of up in the cockpit with my face against the plexiglass, looking at all the old stuff. But they had a little display about the ILS, instrument landing system.
I've heard of it.
And that thing is old, dude, like the 40s. Like, and they had a picture of a Boeing Stratocruiser cockpit with the ILS receiver, the instrument on there. It was pretty cool. And I'm like, and then I started thinking about, I'm like, that's kind of crazy. Like all this, GPS, LPV, RMP, all this stuff, we still fly the ILS the most.
Okay, so let's just assume, I don't know if it's exactly, let's say the ILS was implemented in 1940. So we're almost to 100-year anniversary. I would probably bet that there will still be airplanes shooting ILSs in 2040. Don't you think?
Well, the thing is, you look at a GPS or an LPV approach or a RMP approach, and they're equally they give you the same minimums, everything's the same, but they're way more vulnerable, right, to jamming and everything else. And so that's why we still have VORs too. Like I can never remember what the term was, but it's like the minimum necessary, whatever that they're going to take the VORs down to. I don't know. Well, and then we tried to do the MLS, right? And like replace it with this cool system that like never caught on.
Yeah. And
then now we have that other new one. Remember I talked about like SFO has it or whatever, but it acts exactly the same. You just type in a different frequency. But I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I'm like, wow, that's still
using
all these years. That's still what we use the most. Stinking ILS.
Not really crazy. I mean, I guess that's to say, like, we're still talking over the radio frequencies too. Is the same. Like that's been around for.
I know, and like there's enhancements, but at the end of the day, it's
the same thing.
Like
crazy. All right, that's going to do it for the mailbag. If you want to be a part of the conversation, info@215podcast.com is the address. Thanks to everyone who wrote in. Thanks for Diamond Dog Tim Pope for responding. Look, every once in a while we can get a real professional to answer your questions. So if you do have a question for James or Tim or any of the guys, let us know and we can forward along to them. Up next.
Yeah. Careers in the climb and the journey ain't straight. From regionals to fractionals, it's never too late. Maybe you burned out, maybe just lost sight. We'll help you level off and set that glide right. We've seen busted check rides, busted hearts too, but it's all pilot life and we've been there, dude. So tune in, drop a line, let's clear the ice. We'll keep it real. Welcome to Flight Advice. Harvey Watt got your back when you're down for the count. Life, health, disability, that's what they're about. From medicals to claims, they'll set you right. Keeping pilots protected day and night. So ride in your story, don't think twice. We got your 6. It's Flight Advice.
Max, are you ready for a little flight advice here?
Please.
Okay. Here we go. It says, hello, Dylan and Max. Hope you guys are doing well. Love the show. I found you guys on YouTube while looking for info on the current state of the industry and fell face first on your analogy-ridden dialogues with James O'Neill, which have been informative and hilarious. Since then, I have been cultishly consuming all episodes of the podcast and love how engaging and entertaining you have made the show. Like a group of aviation buddies are joining me on my drive to work, not that I have any. Well, you do now. I feel like I'm vicariously living out my dream, or at least a version of that dream 20 years from now from where I am. Anyways, I have a conundrum that I am currently facing, was hoping for your sharpened, hound-like expertise in the matter. I am currently working as a flight instructor here in the States, CFII, MEI, and building multi-time in a Piper Aztec with 1,400 hours total time. I have 115 hours in a multi. I did graduate from a Part 141 college program that makes me eligible for a restricted ATP at 1,000 hours. Recently, I somehow weaseled my way into an opportunity to fly 737s overseas in Dubai. Now, you might think this is a no-brainer, but there is always a catch. I must pay for my own type rating, which is a large sum of money. After passing the ride, I will then be able to interview with said airline, which I hear is more of a formality, and finally get the job. However, even after paying for the rating, if I would require any remedial training whatsoever, I would be disqualified from being hired at the airline. So it is a pretty big risk. Of course, they say that the pass rate for the rating is 90%, and I do have a leg up when it comes to experience compared to others who come in with 220 hours, but I will be playing against the proverbial house in this gamble. Also, on top of all of this, I would be under a non-prorated 5-year contract before I could make any move. Despite putting out my apps and having already completed my ATP written, I have no calls from the regionals I did get a thanks but no thanks letter from SkyWest and Republic a while ago, but even after submitting my apps post 6 months cooldown, it's been crickets. Now, where my path divides is one, being in a pretty privileged position, which I'm really grateful for. I'm able to take the 737 prospect and potentially build some good experience in flight time that not many people could put on their resume. Or two, I could stay here in the States and wait for the hiring wave that may or may not come in 2026 and get hired onto a regional/corporate and build my way up the traditional way. What would you aviation sensations/gurus do in my place? Thanks for reading my situation. Forever blue skies and tailwinds. And that's from Anonymous.
You go first.
I get it. We're getting a lot of emails from in-flight instructors at 1,500 hours trying to think of creative ways to make something happen because they're tired of waiting. And I get it. Flight instructing is a grind. You have probably received all that you can receive from that job at this point from an experience standpoint, and you just feel like you're stuck on a treadmill. And so there's a lot of people looking for creative ways to avoid the line that they see at the regionals, especially when there's just no movement right now. A lot of red flags to me on this Dubai deal. Paying for training in a 737. Can you pick the provider that you do it, or you have to go to their training center to pay for this? Why are they making you sign a 5-year contract when you're paying for your own training? Seems also very bizarre. Everything I have heard from all of the pilots that I know over there is, I don't know how many rights you have as a employee over there at these companies. It is not the same as being an employee of a U.S. company. I think that it's going to be a lot different. I can't say that it's going to be bad, but I don't think it's going to be the same. So you really got to go in there. I would talk to a lot of expat pilots that have done this before you make that decision and invest any money. That being said, I mean, if all of the things that they're telling you are true and legitimate, and you could go fly a 737 out there and in Dubai and get a bunch of experience, that 5-year commitment, you could probably come back and potentially get on at a major. You have to make sure you nurture all of your networking in the States while you're doing this, because, if you've been out of the country for 5 years, it's going to be harder for you to get a job if you don't know anybody and you don't have any contacts built up. So there's a lot of strategy involved with this move to Dubai. Personally, I don't think I would do it.
There's long been a very strong association between companies that suck and companies that make you pay for your own training.
Yes.
Like, think of the crappiest company in the U.S. you can think of that you've heard like your buddies work for that just sucks, and ask yourself, do they make the pilots pay for training? Probably not. Like, that is a huge red flag to me. Yeah. Not to mention, most of the what is the point of having a commitment to a job, any job? And that's typically so they can get some productivity out of the cost of training that they invest in a new pilot.
Yeah.
Well, so now you have to pay for your own training and have a 5-year commitment. Like, what?
What a deal.
Yeah, what a deal. So I don't think, I think that, look, if you listen to our episode with James recently, the projections for next year, or this year now, 26, are looking pretty good. Things are looking up. Like, just be patient. And, again, going to the regional, if that's what you want to do, that's great. I think a better way to attempt to cut the line is not to go do something like this, but I think it's to better develop your outside flying experience. Go do something different and interesting that you can put on a resume. We've talked about this 100 times, and network and put in the work on things besides flying. Because if you don't have the experience or you don't have the experience to make yourself super competitive, you're not going to just get another 1,000 hours real quick. Like, do something else you can to make yourself more competitive with the time you already have and the experience. I think your money and your time and everything else is going to be better spent doing that, because those things, there's a lot of dudes that have 737 time around. there's not a lot of dudes that have built 5 houses for Habitat for Humanity in their local community, of which you can recycle that, dude, at the regional and then at the major, and you can continue to use that stuff that you're going to put your time and money and effort into now. So do that. Focus on that. Keep grinding it out in the Aztec, and things will happen for you. But if you do have the energy and you're motivated and you want to light a fire here and get things moving, do it that way. That would be my advice.
I agree. The other thing about you read all things, they're not going to pay you. You have no recourse over there. They withhold your last. To me, it just seems like you're just asking for it.
Yeah, dude, 5 years too. I'll tell you what, I've traveled a lot internationally. It's always great to come home. And then this is after, a couple weeks, not 5 years or a year or 6 months or whatever. But like, it's always good. It's always good to come home. So just stay here. Go to Dubai on vacation.
Yeah. Preferably not in the summer.
Use those flight benefits when you get to when the regional calls.
All right. That is going to do it for flight advice. If you visit 215podcast.com, we have the anonymous form you can fill out on the website with all of your information. We'll attempt to tackle one flight advice per episode. And Max, this is a long one. We're going to wrap this up.
Jeez.
We have things to do. Thanks to all the listeners who wrote in. Thanks to everyone who left us a review, an email, comments, etc. Appreciate the community and their continued involvement in the show. And of course, thanks to all of our sponsors who make the show possible. Timothy P. Pope, who you heard from, Advanced Air Crew Academy, James O'Neill, Harvey Watt, the Air Comp Calculator, all of the folks.
Dylan, I just want to thank you for using such a substandard microphone on this recording and for all the echoing things that are great. On behalf of myself and the rest of the listeners, please use a real mic next time. Thank you.
Is it echoey?
Yes. It's atrocious.
Well, you should have said something. Why did you say something at 46 seconds in, not an hour and 46 minutes in?
Because I like to wait to the end to really lambast you, We'll teach you a lesson.
Good thing that Khaleesi's good at what she does.
I know.
She's going to fix all this, I hope.
It's good. Everyone will be like, what is he talking about?
All right. Well, until next time.
All that said, flexibility, speed, air power, all the things.
All the things. See you next week. Maybe with a guest.
Maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah. Check it. Spelling you for rolling. Cub on the screen. Carbon fiber dreams in the desert scene. Max hunting quails where the roads don't go. GA life flexing under overcast glow. NAS backed up, San Diego on hold. Runway lights out. Whole system fold. Single runway. Stack them tight. Immediate clears just to make it through the night. 787 lifting as you cross the numbers. 50-50 moment make your heartbeat stutter. Brownfield talk. Miramar dreams build an island offshore like Tokyo schemes. New terminal shine while the old ones rot. San Diego ripping bridges, New Orleans not. Airports max, concrete cracked. Everybody complaining but nobody's got the map. Then the sim life hits, CAE dialed in. Blast the checks, finally letting crews win. Steep turns training, next one's the ride. More reps, more realism. Ego aside, seat slid back in 99's fast. V1 cut hits, that lesson gonna last. Happy accidents, CRM on display. Your controls moment in the worst, best way. Maintenance wisdom, straight from the wrench. Why it breaks, how it fails, no textbook stench. Gallus seeds good, tortilla soup strong. 80 degrees in January, something feel wrong. Mailbag heavy, Dubai deal suspect. Pay for type gamble, red flags connect. 5-year chains overseas, rights looked in. Sometimes the bold move is not jumping in. It's the frequency, pilots tune in and vibe. 21.5 where the pros come alive. Checklist, jet fuel and stories that fly. It's the cockpit crew, now let's take it sky high.
The statements made in this show are our own opinions and do not reflect, nor were they under any direction from any of our employers.